the Degree Apprenticeship Strategy Guide for Year 13s. In this video, I'm going to give you the step-by-step strategy for getting into a degree apprenticeship as a Year 13 student, exactly what it says on the tin. So who's this guide for? This guide is for Year 13 students who are just starting Year 13 in September 2024. You're going to be taking your A-levels or some other exams in June 2025, and you're looking to apply for the degree apprenticeships, which are going to start for you in September 2025. So why should you listen to me? Well, I personally received 8 degree apprenticeship offers myself. I'm currently a degree apprentice at the end of my first year, and I help people get degree apprenticeships in the engineering, technology, and finance industries. Here are some of the people I helped last year get degree apprenticeship offers from companies like Amazon, JLR, KPMG, HSB, Rolls-Royce, just to name a few. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into this video, Degree Apprenticeship Strategy Guide for Year 13, the 3 steps you need to follow to make sure that you get into a degree apprenticeship. Okay, so there's 2 things you need to do to get into a degree apprenticeship when you break it down. Okay, there's 2 things. You need both of them. You can't have one without the other. You need both of these things. Okay, the first one is being a good candidate. Okay, and the second one is doing well in the application process. Okay, so we're going to start off with being a good candidate. That's the key focus now. And this is what you're going to focus on in step 1, level up. Okay, so this is what you need to focus on during September and October. Okay, so September and October, these 2 months of Year 13 for you are going to be relatively free. Okay, there's probably not much going on. School's just started up from the summer holidays. Probably nothing crazy. Once we get after October, once we get into November, December, January, for the rest of the year, Year 13 is going to get quite busy, okay? So you might have Year 13 mocks, which happen in November or December or January, something like that. You're going to have your real A-levels, which end up in May and June of Year 13, so basically after January you might end up having to revise for those. Degree apprenticeship applications are going to start mostly in November, and they're going to continue to December, January, February, March. So basically everything in Year 13 sort of goes crazy from November, December sort of time, okay? This is why you really want to utilize the opportunity you've got in Year 13 for September and October, where there's not much going on. Okay, and you want to use this opportunity, use this free time you're going to have where there's not much revision, not much assignments, that sort of thing. You want to use this opportunity to level yourself up as a candidate and make yourself a better candidate for a degree apprenticeship, okay? So here's exactly a checklist which you want to be doing during September and October. I've linked this as a Notion document down below so you can have a copy of this for yourself. But this is what I would recommend that you do during your September and October of Year 13, okay? The first one is getting in-person work experience placement, okay? This is super important, and this is going to make you stand out massively in the application process. Since COVID, not many people have, since COVID, it's been difficult to get in-person work experience, which means a lot of people just haven't even bothered trying to get in-person work experience. So if you can be the one person in the application process who has in-person work experience, you're going to really stand out, okay? It shows you're proactive, you're taking the initiative, because you've gone to the lengths to actually organize this in-person work experience. Like, forget everything else. Just having this shows that you're taking the initiative and you're proactive, because you're the only one who could be bothered to actually organize the in-person work experience. But on top of that, you're going to learn so much stuff about the industry, about the company. You're going to learn loads of skills about the workplace, communication, teamwork, all this sort of thing. So in-person work experience, I definitely recommend if you can. So I did my in-person work experience during my October half term, and that was the number one reason why I managed to get my 8 degree apprenticeship offers, because it was such good experience that I could talk about in my application and talk about in my interviews. Okay, in that Notion document, there'll be a link to the video there, which will explain exactly what you need to do to get in-person work experience. And on top of this, I'd also recommend getting virtual work experience placements. So in a lot of my CVs and applications, I would be mentioning 3 to 4 different work experiences in each CV. Okay, so I wouldn't just mention one, it would be 3 to 4. One of those would be the in-person one. And then I'd usually have 2 or 3 virtual ones to back it up. So that's why I'd recommend these virtual ones here. And especially if you don't have any in-person ones, you definitely want to make sure you have 2 or 3 of these virtual ones. There's 3 websites where you can get virtual work experience from. The first one is SpringPod. The second one is called Speakers for Schools. And the third one is a list of basically the best work experience opportunities available right now, which I basically update quite frequently. Link to that will be in the Notion document. Now, I'd recommend 2 other things. A company webinar per industry and an online course per industry. Okay, so these are going to be really good things where you're going to learn lots of technical knowledge. For example, so I did a company sort of webinar with BMW, and I learned a lot of specific stuff about electric vehicles, right? About batteries, thermal dynamics, and all this sort of thing. Functional safety of batteries, which was like really good technical knowledge, which helped me when I was applying to some automotive companies. It's the exact same with massive open online courses, otherwise known as MOOCs. You're going to learn a lot of technical knowledge, which they don't teach at A-level, which no one else will know, which you'll really be able to show off in your application and in your interviews and all this sort of thing. for massive open online courses or MOOCs, there's 3 websites where you can do these courses completely for free: Coursera, edX, and FutureLearn. Now, I just want to turn your attention to the per industry, right, which I've written for both these. This is really important, okay? Because there's some people who, when they're applying to degree apprenticeships, they just apply to one industry. Absolutely fine. So maybe they just apply to civil engineering. That's the only thing they apply to. Fine. Maybe some people just apply to finance. That's the only thing they apply to. Fair enough. Some people just apply to technology. That's the only thing they apply to. But what's probably more likely is you might actually end up applying to like a couple of different industries. So I ended up applying to 4 different industries. I ended up applying to civil engineering, so that's like bridges and highways and like buildings and all that sort of thing. I applied to automotive engineering, so basically cars. I applied to sort of some aerospace, so like planes and all that sort of thing. And I also applied to a pharmaceutical company, okay, the pharmaceutical industry. I needed to make sure that I had a different course for each of those industries, because think about it, if I apply to a pharmaceuticals company and the course I put on there is, oh, I did a course on aerospace engineering, it's not going to be relevant, is it? Right? Or if I'm applying to civil engineering and I say I've done a course on like the pharmaceutical industry and how medicines are made or something, it's like, it's not going to be relevant, is it? So you want to make sure, if you are one of those people who are applying to a couple of different industries, make sure you have a course or a webinar per industry. So for example, for my civil engineering one, I had done an online course about highways and bridge design. Okay, roads. I don't know why I'm saying highways, it's roads, right? For my automotive engineering applications, I had done an online course on electric vehicles and hydrogen vehicles. For my one on aerospace, to my aerospace applications, I'd done a course on aerospace engineering. To my pharmaceutical application, I'd done a course on medicines and biology and vaccines and all that sort of thing. Okay, and it basically meant when I was going to apply to those different companies in the different industries, I could tweak my CV, personalize my CV, and insert the course that was relevant, get rid of the course that wasn't relevant. So I always had a CV which was personalized to that industry and had relevant things. Okay, so that's why it's really important. You want to do one of those courses per industry. Okay. Right, moving on to these next two. These next two look a bit weird, maybe. The first one's a presentation, okay? I think it's really important that you have experience of doing a presentation. Okay, what I mean by that is, like, you need to have done, in the last 12 months, delivered a presentation in an assembly at school. Or maybe delivered a presentation to a club or society at school, or, like, delivered a presentation to your class. The reason for this is because one of the most important skills that employers are looking for is communication skills. Okay, communication skills, presentation skills, confidence. When you're in the workplace, when you're doing a degree apprenticeship, you're going to have to talk to other colleagues. Okay, you're going to have to deliver presentations. You're going to have to lead meetings, right? They want to know that you're the kind of person who has confidence. You can go and lead a meeting. You can deliver a presentation, okay? And what better way to show that to the recruiter than saying, 3 months ago, I delivered a presentation to 30 people on automotive engineering. Then they can see this guy's got confidence, this guy's got communication skills, he's delivered a presentation. Okay, and like, this is really going to make you stand out. A lot of people don't even go for this one, because I'll just be straight up honest with you. 95% of the population is socially awkward. Like, you think about most people, they want to do a presentation, they're too scared to do a presentation, right? People just don't like public speaking and all that sort of thing. So if you want to really stand out in the application process, you want to be the one person who's done a presentation. It's like, in my applications, I would always put in them, I delivered a presentation to 200 people, right? Because that's what I did a couple of months, actually, I think it was a couple of weeks before a lot of my applications. I actually had to deliver a presentation to 200 people at my school, basically, about degree apprenticeships. And I put that in there, saying I delivered a presentation to 200 people. Straight away to the recruiter, it shows I have confidence, I have public speaking skills, I have communication skills, okay? So that's why it's really good to have a presentation, because it shows off those skills so well. And also, by the way, in a lot of the degree apprenticeship applications, they end up actually assessing your presentation skills. So in the last stage, which is called the assessment centre, a lot of them ask you to deliver a presentation. So you sort of have to make a presentation, deliver it to the assessors. If you've never done a presentation before, you're not comfortable with speaking, then you're not going to be very good at this presentation. But if you've done presentations before, like I'm suggesting here, and you're good at presentations and you're confident with them, then you're going to give a really good delivery and you're going to have a good presentation. You're not going to be nervous. So that's why doing a presentation, I definitely recommend it. So where you can do a presentation is the best case scenario is in like an assembly at school. If you can ask to deliver a presentation or some sort of talk there. If there are any clubs at your school, maybe like a politics society or an economic society or a math society, you can go and deliver a topic, a presentation on a technical topic. Those are the best two scenarios. Then if worst comes to worst, honestly, I say just make a presentation and just deliver it to your friends. Like, literally just make like a 15-minute presentation on a technical topic like investment banking or software engineering with HTML, and then just get your friends, 10 of them, either like do it at school, just go into a random classroom, or jump on like a Discord call or something, and then just deliver the 15-minute presentation to your friends. And then it means like, yeah, okay, I get it, it's not an assembly or anything like that, but you can still mention it in your application saying you delivered this presentation to your peers on a technical topic. Okay, so that's like your worst case scenario. If you can't at your school manage to get an assembly or a club or anything like that, then that's what you can do. Okay, so there's no excuse for not getting a presentation. I would really recommend doing that. The next one is like teamwork events. Okay, and this is really important because just like communication skills, another thing employers are really looking for with degree apprenticeships is teamwork skills. If you can show that you have good teamwork skills, good collaboration skills, you're going to do really well in the application process. Because in a degree apprenticeship in a workplace, you're going to work with other people. You're going to have to work with other colleagues on projects and all this sort of thing. They want to know that you're someone who can work well within a team. Okay? So if you can have examples of when you've worked well within a team, it shows the recruiter and gives them evidence. Okay, this guy's going to be good when he works at our company, working with a team because he's done it before. He's done it in a sports team. He's worked on a class project. He's like volunteered doing like a charity fundraiser and he had to work with the colleagues. He's done like D&V and they all had to work together to like read the maps and carry the equipment and set up the tents and all this sort of thing. Okay, so I'd definitely recommend some of these. You probably might have already got 2 of these teamwork events perfect. But if you haven't, just have a look. Where can you get some sort of like teamwork event, some sort of thing we can show teamwork? Can you volunteer to help with a music society or volunteer with a sports team? Like sign up to a project, something like that, because it's gonna give you an opportunity to show off these teamwork skills. Okay. Another question they ask you in the interview is, tell me about a time when you worked as a team. You want to have a couple of examples of that so you can say that. And another thing is, it's also a good opportunity to show leadership skills as well, because half the time when you're in a team, you're just part of the team. Cool, great. But for some teamwork things, you're actually leading the team. Okay, you're actually the leader of the team. Maybe you're the captain of the sports team. Maybe you're sort of like, you've been appointed group leader for like the class presentation. That's a great opportunity to show off your leadership skills. That's another thing companies are really looking for. Companies like Amazon in particular, and I think a lot of the finance companies, they are looking for killers, okay? Because like these are some of the best companies in the world. They're not just going to take anyone for a degree apprenticeship. They want killers, people who are independent, they can make decisions, they can include everyone, they can be really good leaders. Okay, so you want to make sure you're doing that. And then I'd recommend 2 final things that you want to be doing in this sort of step 1 in September and October is writing up a draft CV and writing up a draft cover letter. Okay, because you want to make sure you have these documents ready by the time you need to apply. Okay, you don't want to like get to the application starting and then all of a sudden you have to start a CV from scratch, start a cover letter from scratch. That's going to be very difficult. You sort of want a draft CV, a draft cover letter. If you've got it written, and then it means when it comes to the applications, you just need to do the tweaks. You just need to do the personalizations. As I said, you just need to like change the course that you're putting in there. Right, you need to just change a couple sentences, that sort of thing. Change like the research you've done. That's it. That's what I would recommend. Okay, so draft CV and draft cover letter, I'd recommend you write those in the first couple of months of year 13. Okay, as I said, in the description there'll be a full Notion checklist of all of this, so you can sort of take a copy of it and then tick them off as you go through. And basically, if you follow this, you're going to be in a really good place for applying when these applications start to open in November, December, late October sort of time, maybe a bit earlier if it's finance. Okay. And just to plug quickly, I do a CV and cover letter analysis. So if you are interested in getting my feedback on your CV and cover letter, I'll tell you where to improve, maybe where you're missing in some skills, where you're missing in some sort of opportunity, then you can basically go and click the link in the description. I've had other year 13 students who they've sent me their CV, sent me their cover letter, I give them the feedback, and it puts them in a really good place for doing their application process. So if you are interested in that, once you've written your draft CV and draft cover letter, feel free to go and click the link in the description so you can get my feedback on your CV and cover letter. Okay, so that was step 1, leveling up. And now let's move on to the next step, which is applying. And as I said, this is going to start from roughly November. It might be a bit earlier if you're applying to finance, because finance can open like sort of October, sometimes even September. But for most companies in all the other industries like engineering, technology, marketing, and whatever, it's usually from November onwards, and it can continue until about March. Okay, so as I said, this is where it's getting busy, right? So you're probably going to have year 13 mocks as well, and it's all going on. So that's why it's so important in that step 1 to make sure you're doing those things. Okay, so what I recommend is apply to 10 plus degree apprenticeships. A lot of people like apply to 1 degree apprenticeship, but they apply to 2 degree apprenticeships and they get rejected, and then they can't do a degree apprenticeship. And then it's like they probably have to go off to university and get in £45,000 of debt. And it's like, great, you can't do a degree apprenticeship because you applied to 1 and you got rejected. Like degree apprenticeships are super competitive. Okay, super competitive. You want to make sure you're applying to 10 plus. Okay, that's what I recommend to all my students, because it's just not worth the risk applying to 1 and getting rejected. Okay. As I said before, at this point when you're doing the applications, you might have to balance it with year 13 mocks, real A levels. It's going to get quite busy. So I remember in my year 13, during my Christmas holiday, I was having to revise for year 13 mocks and also do applications. So I remember a couple of mornings in my Christmas holiday where I just spent the whole morning making my application. Okay, so you're going to have to balance that, and it is what it is. And as I said before, the more organized you were during step 1, the easier this time will be. So the more of that checklist from before that you got done during September and during October, the easier this is going to be. You're going to have more time. You don't want to be having to write your CV from scratch or doing any work experience or any courses or anything like that. You don't want to be doing that in December. You want to focus on your year 13 mocks or whatever. Focus on your applications. Okay, so the more organized you are in step 1, the easier this is going to be. And also, to be honest, the more diligent you were during step 1, the more successful you will be. Because that checklist that I showed you previously, you don't have to follow it, right? I'm not saying you have to follow it. But have a look at some of these figures here, okay? JLR, the people who get degree apprenticeship offers, they only go to the top 3% of candidates. Okay, JP Morgan, top 0.7% of candidates. Okay, that's why I've given you that checklist, because you need to make sure you're a really, really good candidate when you're going into these, because they're so difficult to get into. Degree apprenticeships are so competitive. If you can't be bothered to fill out that checklist, that Notion checklist, sorry to give you the harsh truth, then you probably won't get the job. Okay, because you need to be in the top 3%, top 1% of candidates to get in. If you're not going to do the work experience, if you're not going to go deliver a presentation, if you're not going to do a course in every single industry, someone else is, they can get the job instead of you. Okay, so put the hard work in. It is worth it. I'm on a degree apprenticeship now, and I think I'm really enjoying it, and I'm so glad I did this rather than university and got in a whole bunch of debt for absolutely no reason, right? So just make sure you're diligent on step 1, going through that Notion checklist and ticking off every single one. Genuinely, if you're serious about getting into a degree apprenticeship, I'd tick off every single one of those things from that Notion checklist. So I mentioned these 2 things earlier. These are the 2 things, of course, you need both of them to get into a degree apprenticeship. You need to be a good candidate. As I said, that's what the Notion checklist is for. Let's talk about this second one now. So you also need to do well in the application process, because you can be a great candidate, but then you're terrible at interviews or you fail online testing, you're not getting the degree apprenticeship. Okay, so you have to have this second one as well. You have to do well. You have to be good at the application process. And this is where it's really important to go in prepared. So I hear stories of people who, they get accepted through the first stage of a degree apprenticeship. They get sent an online test, psychometric test, and they go into it and they have no idea what they're doing and they fail it, right? And they get rejected. Okay, or maybe a video interview. They get sent a video interview. They've never done a video interview before. They don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't know how to succeed in a video interview. They do it and they get rejected. Okay, or they go into an assessment center like a group exercise. They don't know the meta, right, for succeeding in a group exercise, so they end up doing it and they fail and they get rejected. Okay, you want to make sure you go in prepared. Okay, so you want to be thoroughly researching each stage of the application process before you do it. So if it's a psychometric testing, you don't want to just jump straight into it. You want to make sure you're doing practice questions. You've understood the mark scheme. You know what they're looking for, so you know how to succeed. Same with like an interview. You don't want to jump into a real degree apprenticeship interview and it's the first interview ever. You've never even practiced any questions. You don't know what to do. You want to make sure you're doing mock interviews, okay, with real questions. If you get that opportunity, 100% do it. And it's as simple as this. The more prepared you go in, the more likely you are to land a degree apprenticeship. Nothing's guaranteed, of course. Anything can happen on the day. But the more prepared you are, the more likely you are. The more mock interviews you've done, the more practice questions you've done, the more mock group exercise you've done, the more you've practiced your presentation, the more feedback you've got, the more likely you are to land that degree apprenticeship. So that's really important when you apply. I just want you to remember those competition figures from earlier. JLR, top 3%. JP Morgan, top 0.7%. You can't fluke the degree apprenticeship application process. It's very difficult to fluke the degree apprenticeship application process. You want to make sure you're acing this application process, and you do that through practice. Practice makes perfect. It's as simple as that. So as you're going through this application process from November to March, it's really important if you get on any programs with mock interviews, mock presentations. I do have a program, by the way. There'll be a link in the description somewhere if you're interested. But I'm not even saying you have to do my program. If you can even do mock interviews with your friends, perfect. That's better than nothing, and that's going to help you going into that degree apprenticeship interview. So if you follow my guidance, you follow these step 1 and 2 so far, I'll be honest, you'll have likely secured your degree apprenticeship by March. So this is a screenshot from an Excel. I had a tracker where I tracked all my applications. This is a screenshot of my tracker, and these were the real, and I was basically writing down when I heard from these companies and when I got the offers. And you can see when I was getting them. So there are a couple of them I'm getting as early as February, 21st of February, 22nd of February. Then there were quite a few that were going around in March, and then some which are a bit later, April, May, and I think I actually got another one in June as well, right? That means the degree apprenticeship application process actually finishes before your A levels. Okay, so your A levels are going to be in about May or June. A lot of these degree apprenticeship application processes are going to be finished by March. Okay, you're going to have your degree apprenticeship by March. This is perfect. Like, the way this works out is absolutely perfect, because what it means is you can then focus from March to June on your A levels. Okay, because by March you'll have succeeded, you'll have secured a degree apprenticeship. All you need to do now is achieve the required grades. Okay, so that means you can just focus from March to June, A-level revision, get the grades. Another bonus, the grades you need are likely less than everyone else is going to university. So the comparison I like to make is a lot of university, like, the grade might be 3 A's, right? You might need that for university. It might be an A star and 2 A's. Okay, great. For a lot of degree apprenticeships, the grades you need, the required grades, is like a B and a C. Or like a B and a C. It's more around that B and C level. Whereas a lot of universities, especially if you're going to like Russell Group universities, it's like A stars and A's that you need. Okay, so this is just great. It means you can go into exams with less pressure. There's people who've got like Oxford offers, right? And they're going in needing, like, I don't know, two A stars and an A. And they're like, if they mess up a question, they're not going to Oxford, right? Which is like, with a degree apprenticeship, it's more likely you probably need a couple of B's, right, to get into. There's just way less pressure. Okay, so that's just what you need to do. Once you've got your degree apprenticeship like locked in from March time, February time, April time, just those last couple of months, put in the effort there to get your grades sorted, to get those grades that you need for your degree apprenticeship, and then boom, you're sorted. Okay, so there we go. Those are the 3 steps for getting a degree apprenticeship as a year 13. That's what you need to focus on over the next 12 months. Here's just like a visual representation of basically what it's going to look like. First couple of months now, you want to focus on leveling up. Okay, so that's doing the work experience, doing the courses, getting feedback on your CV from me, link in the description. Then basically from November to roughly March, April, something like that, that's when the application process is going to go on. You want to make sure you apply to 10 plus, don't just apply to 1 or 2, apply to 10 plus, and also do things like mock interviews. Make sure you're actually researching the application process so that you know you're going to do well in it. And then basically by March, you're going to get your dream offer. Okay, by March, by April, you're going to get these dream offers from your degree apprenticeship companies. And that's when you can then focus on just achieving those grades. Likely the grades are a bit lower than the university equivalent, which is great, less pressure. You just need to focus on achieving those grades. You'll see your A levels end of May and June. And then basically you can then enjoy July and August. And then you'll be starting your degree apprenticeship in September 2025. Okay, that is the exact roadmap. I hope this video has been helpful for you today. If it has, if you got any value from this video at all, I'd just appreciate if you go and just leave a like on the video. That would be really helpful. If you want to subscribe to the channel for more videos, you can click that button on the left, or if you want to watch another video from me, click that one on the right. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.